everyone, this is Gina. Today I'm going to show you how to make a crystal cluster bracelet with triangle beads. These are faceted glass triangle beads, and I want to show you, I was playing with sizes and colors according to what's in the treasure bag. This is a treasure bag video. However, these beads are available in lots of colors and two different sizes on my website, so you can choose any color scheming you'd like, but I just kind of played with the lighter colors and then put the darker colors back here, and I used two different sizes, and I think it turned out really pretty. The units are really pretty, and I think if I decide to make another one, I'm going to make it all in this larger crystal, make every single one of the units clear, because I think that will be really, really pretty too. So this has a lot of possibilities color-wise and bead-wise. This is what it looks like. It's just a cluster, basically, and all in the clear. Man, that would be a sparkler. And this is what the back looks like, just like that. So let's go ahead and look and see what it takes to make this particular bracelet and get started. Okay, for this project today, we will be using some of the beads found in the treasure bag, the Sparkling Romance treasure bag. However, you can substitute these beads for 4mm bicones. It may look a little bit different, but it should work. The process should work just fine. Otherwise, I'm going to be using the 2 strands of triangle beads that are in your treasure bag. Now, this would look absolutely beautiful with just clear, and I do have some clear AB triangle beads of the bigger size on my website. I also have a bunch of different colors of the smaller size if you would like to try this with a different color scheme. I also have in the bigger size some that are mixed color strands. So you can try this if you absolutely want to use triangle beads. They are available. Now, in the 4mm size, I'm using the little ombre colored strand that was in the treasure bag, and then in, I think it's 4.5 by 6, something like that, and I will post links in the information box beneath the video player so that you can find them on my website. But in the larger size, I'm using clear. I have some clear AB, I have little pink ones in the 4mm size, and a couple other colors, so you can make a color mix that you would like. And if you're just going to use one bigger strand, if you want to make it all clear, which would be absolutely beautiful, and that was my intention. However, you need 2 strands to do that because one strand isn't quite enough. So that's why I'm mixing the 2 sizes and the 2 colors. Turns out pretty, but it would be gorgeous with just these also. Then we're going to be using some seed beads, and we're going to need an 8/0, 11/0, and 15/0. I am using Toho galvanized permanent finish aluminum for all 3 of my sizes. And then you'll need a clasp, of course, and I'm going to use one of the little heart clasps that were in the box, but a box clasp or lobster claw, anything will work. Just choose a clasp that you would like. Then I'm going to use some 10-pound Nanofil. Now you need a very small thread for this and a very small needle. So I'm using a size 12 beading needle. Make sure that you don't use anything above 8 or 10-pound Nanofil and nothing above 6-pound Fireline. Otherwise, your beads will fill up because we sew through these beads a lot. So that's what we're going to be using. Let's go ahead and put about 5 feet on our needle of our thread. You're going to need to learn to extend your Fireline or Nanofil if you do not know how, and there will also be a link in the description box beneath the video player that will show you how to do that. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, for this design, we are going to start by making the base of the bracelet, and then we're going to move through and we are going to embellish it with our crystals. So we're going to start with a basic ladder stitch. So you're going to pick up 4 8/0 seed beads onto your needle, just like this, and bring it to the end of your thread. You don't have to leave a long tail, just leave enough to hang on to. And then go back up through the first 2 8/0 seed beads that you put on your thread. just like this, and just hold on to those 8 and hold on to your tail, and then bring your thread through. And continue to bring it through until the second set of 8 lays on top of the first set, just like this. And then we're just going to sew back through so that we can secure these two. So we're going to sew, we're coming out of this side, we're going to sew into both of the beads on this side and pull it through. And then I'm tangled, hold on. Then I'm going to go into the other two on this side where the tail is and go through them and pull my thread through and just tighten everything up. Then I'm just going to trim this tail down just a little to keep it out of my way, and I'm going to put my clasping on, and then we will continue making a ladder stitch. So what we're going to do is we are going to go up through these two here. So we're coming out of the one with the tail, we're going to go up through these two. And then we're going to pick up 2 11-0s and an 8-0. And then we're going to pick up one end of our clasp. So I'm going to pick up the hard end, and I'm going to drop these seed beads that I have on my thread down to my piece. Now we're going to put them over the sides of the beads here, not the tops of the beads, because we're doing a ladder stitch, we're not doing a herringbone, so we're going to go over the sides of them, and I'll show you what I mean. So you've dropped those down, go through your clasp, bring the clasp down to the 8-0 seed bead, and then we are just going to go around the clasping and back into the 8-0 right here. I'm going to hold on to that 8-0, and I'm going to draw my needle through, pull my thread through, and pull everything together just like this. Now we want to connect to this side here, so we're going to pick up 2 11-0 seed beads and go through the sides of the beads here just like this and pull this down. Now you should have something that looks like this, and we're going to sew back through it a couple of times to secure it. So now the holes of my beads are sideways, not up and down, and I'm going to go up into the 2 11-0s, the 8-0, and the clasp, and pull through. Then I'm going to go back down into the 8-0 and then the 2 11-0s on the other side, just like this. Then I'm going to go into this 8-0 and the one next to it here. And just to secure everything better, I'm going to go down into these two again, up into these two again, and then I'm going to sew through my clasping 2 more times. However, I'm just going to come back through these top beads. So this is what I will do. I'll go up through these two here and up through the 8-0. And the clasp is in the way now, so you just have to kind of move it out of the way. Go into the clasp, and then go into the 11-0s on the other side after you go through the 8-0. So I'm through the clasp, I'm going to go into the 8-0 and the 2 11-0s here. And back through, and that's probably secure enough. Now you can see my tail is kind of loose here, so I'm just going to grab that little looseness part and take it out, and then I'm going to cut it down just a little bit, and then I'm going to melt it just like that. Now that should be secure enough for me to work through. So we're going to start the rest of the first section here. So we're going to do little sections of ladder stitch divided by an opening and then another section of ladder stitch. And you'll see what I mean. So I have 2 segments of ladder stitch here. I need to make 4. So I'm going to come down into the second set here. And then I'm going to pick up 2 8-0 seed beads, and I'm going to go into the opposite side from which I'm coming out and go through both of those 8-0s and pull these beads down until they lay on top of the previous set. Just like that. Now I need to secure this by sewing back through the entire thing. So I'm coming out of this set that I'm attaching to. I'm going to go into the new set, pull my thread through, and then back up through the previous set, and then back through the new set right here. I'm going to do that one more time. So I'm going to pick up 2 8-0 seed beads and go into the previous set. Sew back through my new set. And make sure as you do this, as you get your thread through, you give a little tug, because you don't want a whole bunch of thread bowing on the sides here. You want it to be nice and tight and neat, just like this. And then go back through the set you're attaching to, back into the set that we just added. Here, we're going to do a little division because we need to be able to add a little length to this bracelet without using quite so many crystal. So we're going to pick up an 11-0 and 2 8-0s and an 11-0 onto our needle, like this. Then we're coming out of this side. We're going to go into the opposite side here of the 2 beads. Pull this down. And it's going to look kind of weird until we sew back through it. We're going to sew back through it one section at a time. So this side bead here, the 11-0, is what I'm going to refer to as one section. Then the 2 8-0s together. Then one section with just the other 11-0 here. And then through the 2 that we're attaching to, just like this. Now, we're going to sew back up. See, you can see how it's split here. We're going to sew back up into these 2 8-0s so we can straighten them out and start our next ladder stitch section. So we're going to go through this 11-0 by itself, then go through these 2 8-0s. Excuse me, my voice is not working well. Okay, so now we have our first set of ladder stitch right here. We're going to make 3 more. So we're going to pick up 2 8-0s, go into the opposite side from which we're coming out of the 2 8-0s we're attaching to, pull this down, go back through the new set, and then go back through the set we're attaching to, and then back through the new set. So you're just sewing a circle around so that they are nice and neat and attached. Just like that. You can kind of pull them apart so that your little opening section is nice and defined, and then continue making 2 more sets of ladder stitch. So we're going to put 2 more 8-0s on, go back through them, go back through the set that we are attaching to, and then back through our new set. One more time. Pick up 2 8-0s and go through the opposite side. Pull the thread through, arrange them, go into the 2 new beads, just like this. And then back through the beads we attached to and back through the new set. Now that we have 4 sets of ladder stitch, through the 4th set we're going to make our little opening again. So we pick up an 11-0, 2 8/0s, and an 11/0. Go back through the 2 we're attaching to, pull these down, and then sew through them a section at a time. So the 11/0 here, hold on to your beads so that you can keep them nice and arranged, and then go into the 2 8/0s and into the 11/0 here. So you can see as I sew through one, I'm kind of keeping some arrangement of the beads the way that I want them to be. They won't be completely arranged until I make my first set of ladder stitch through the new set of beads we put on top here. But it helps keep them from being too boggled. So then we're going to go through these 2 8/0s here. And then we will make 3 more sets of our ladder stitch, going to the opposite side with 2 new 8/0s, pull it down, and then secure them. Now you're going to continue making these sets with a 4 ladder stitch, and then through the 4th one you're going to make your little opening with your 11/0s, and then 4 more, your little opening, 4 more, and you're going to continue doing that until you have 12 sections of ladder stitch. So as I count them, 1 2 3 4 5, you get the point. There's 12 of them. Now this is going to make just a little bit above a 7-inch bracelet. So you can always make another section, or you can just make another one of these little openings here and then put your clasp on directly to this section if you want it short, a little bit shorter. So let's discuss that. So here, when I measure halfway through the toggle on this side, I'm almost at 7 inches. So I'm going to put my clasping directly on this ladder stitch. If I needed just a little bit more space, I could make another opening and attach it to the set of 2 8/0s on that side. Or I can add a couple more seed beads. Or I can add a whole nother section. Or if you want it shorter, you can do a whole section less. So that's how you're going to adjust the length. Now, I am going to go ahead and put the clasping on this, and because I just want my bracelet to be a little bit above 7 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up 3 11/0 seed beads, and on this side of the toggle I'm going to pick up 2 8/0s because I want to narrow the side so that the toggle will go through nicely, because by the time we put our embellishment on, this is going to be kind of wide, and when you have a wide end on the straight side of a toggle, it doesn't go through the other side very well. So we're going to narrow it by putting, I'm actually going to put 3 8/0s, I think. Give myself a little tiny bit more length too. Let me see how that's going to look. Now, I think I'll just do 2. But you can adjust how many 8/0s you put on this side to narrow this down or to give yourself a little bit more length. So I've got 3 11/0s, 2 8/0s. I'm going to go through the loop on my clasp. I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to go through the 2 8/0s and just the 2 8/0s. Just like this. Get you in closer. And then I'm going to hold on those 2 8/0s, and I'm going to pull my thread until everything is lined up together like this, and then I'm going to pick up 3 more 11/0 seed beads. And you can see this has allowed me a little bit more length, and it's also narrowed the end a little bit more than the other side. So now I have my 3 11/0s, and I'm going to go back through the 2 8/0s on the end of my base units, just like this, and pull this through. Now I'm going to back off a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and sew through this once, and then we will come back after we sew through it a couple times off camera. So I'm just going to position it to where I can go back into these 3 11/0s on this side, up the 2 8/0s, and then into my clasp, just like this. And then I'm going to pull this through, and I'm going to go back down into the 2 8/0s here, pull my thread through, go into the 3 11/0s on this side, and pull my thread through, and then go back into these 2 8/0s. Go ahead and do that 2 more times. Once you've done that twice, then we'll be back and we'll start our embellishments. Okay, so now I have gone ahead and secured my ending here. Now you can just do 2 11/0s like we did on the other side, and then your 2 8/0s. Make sure you use the 2 8/0s. I did 3 11/0s and 2 8/0s because I wanted just a tiny bit more length. And now that I've measured it, that it's done, I have about a 7 1/4 inch bracelet, which is about right for me. So I'm going to back this off a little bit, and we're going to start some embellishments on this base, the entire base. We'll do a section at a time. We're going to start with the clear beads, and then we're going to move into the next section. We'll use one of our sections of the multicolored strand. So what you might want to do is go ahead and open your multicolored strand and decide how you want to arrange your colors. If you want it to be dark and then medium and then light, and however you want to do it. You're going to need 12 beads per section. So go ahead and figure out what you want your colors to look like, and so will I. I'll take my beads off and I'll just kind of show you the color arrangement I have decided on using, and we'll move on. Now, if you are purchasing some and you just want to use a strand of pink and do the pink in the clear, or if you just want to do all clear in the big ones, that's fine too. You don't have to do any arrangement. But if you buy some of the multicolored strands or whatever, then you may want to do this. I am going to do this for our treasure bag, and I'll be right back. Okay, so from my strand, I decided to use the more orangey red tones and the peach tone, and I just kind of pulled the brighter pink ones that are on the strand aside, and I'll use them for something else. But I kind of wanted to stay within the same color tone, so I'll do it kind of ombre. I'll do a clear set on my base, and then I'll do the first red, and then I'll do the little bit lighter, and then the lightest in the middle, and then one more light, and just reverse it. So that's how I've chosen mine. Like I said, you'll need 12 for each one. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start these embellishments now. I'm just going to leave my little piles of color there because I'm going to start with my clear larger beads, and I'm going to do a section of larger beads and then a section of the colored little beads, and so on, so alternating them. Now I am coming out of this bead right here after doing my clasping. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick up a triangle bead, perhaps. Where are you? Come here, little hole. There we go. And then we're going to use some 15-0s with this. So we're going to pick up a triangle bead, a 15-0. Let me get you in closer. We are going to drop this down to the piece. Make sure you have extended your Fireline or your Nanofil before this point. You can do it during this process, but it's much easier if you do it before because of the 15-0s. Now, we have on our piece a triangle bead, a 15-0. We're going to ignore the 15-0, go through the triangle bead, and then go through both of the 8-0s right here. Because we're coming out of those 8-0s, we're going back through them. The 15-0 will now, when you pull your thread, stop the triangle bead, and you have a fringe stitch, just like that. So you're going to do that on the first side, and now we're coming out of this side. We're going to pick up a triangle bead and a 15-0. And we back up just a little. We're going to drop this down to our piece. And again, I'm going to pick it up, and I'm just going to go around that 15-0 and then into the 2 8-0s again. Just kind of move the triangle bead on this side without loosening it. Just kind of go around it. I'll get you really close so you can see. Just kind of go around it and then pull this one down. Now, if this side loosens up, you can always lift this little 15-0 on this side and adjust by lifting it and then pulling it back down. That way you can pull this side by adjusting this side also. Now, we have a little triangle bead on either side, and we're coming out of this first set of 8/0s again underneath this triangle bead. We're then going to pick up two 15-0s. Now, these triangle beads, even when you buy them, supposedly all the same size, they're all different sizes. Some of the little ones are very little. Some of the big ones are a little bit bigger than the big ones that we're using here. So when you do this part, you will adjust the amount of 15-0 seed beads you pick up to make sure that it's not really thready looking. So on these big ones, on this bracelet, I'm picking up two 15-0s. If you get some triangle beads that are a little bit bigger, you may have to pick up 3. And when we use the small ones, we'll pick up 1. That's very important to know. When you're doing this with 4mm bicones, you'll want to do that also. Adjust your 15-0s. And I know I'm talking too much, but that's very important. So two 15-0s, triangle bead, and two 15-0s. And then we're going to bring this down, and we're just going to go from this set into the next set on the opposite side, just like this. And as we do this, our beads are going to come down. We're going to guide them into the center between the first two that we put on and just pull it down. So that's what it should look like. This is going to be just a cluster, kind of chaotic looking cluster. So you're just going at a diagonal. Now we're coming out of this second set right here. So again, we are going to pick up a triangle bead and a 15-0. Bring them down to your piece. Go around the 15-0 into the triangle bead and then into the two 8/0s. So you're in the very next set of 8/0s. Even though this guy is kind of blocking them, you still want to be in the very next set of 8/0s. As you pull that, it should tighten your cluster down a little bit. Then you're going to pick up another triangle bead and a 15-0. Drop it down on this side now. Go around the 15-0 into the triangle bead and back into the set of 8/0s that you're coming out of, just like that. So you'll have on both sides of every set, you're going to have 2 of your triangle beads. Now, sometimes your thread wants to get all weird in here, so just bring it back around to where it is coming out right between that triangle bead and the set of 8/0s it's coming out of. And then pick up 2 15-0 seed beads and another triangle bead and 2 15-0 seed beads. And then you're going to cross over into the next set right here of 8/0s. That's going to draw this across the top of our ladder stitch in a diagonal, just like that. Now, you're going to pick up another triangle bead and a 15-0. So we're going to have 4 triangle beads on either side here, and 3 across the top, I believe, is how it's going to end up. Should be. So let's go into the 8/0s around the 15-0. And then we're going to pick up a triangle bead, and we're going to pick up a 15-0, and we're going to drop it down, go around the 15-0, and go back into that set of 8/0s that we started in. Just move your triangle bead on the other side out of the way and pull it down. Now make sure that you are right between the 8 O's that you're coming out of and the triangle beads, right there. Pick up your thread, don't have it tangled in your cluster there. And then pick up 2 15 O's and a triangle bead. Come here. And 2 15 O's. Go through the next set of 8 O's. That should be right before your opening there on the base. Pull this down in a triangle, just like that. Now, that actually looks pretty good. We could go ahead and put a triangle on either side. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're using 9 on each unit. I was thinking 12, but we're using 9. So you could put a triangle on either side of this one, but actually I think that's full enough. So what we're going to do is, after we come out of these last 2 8 O's, we're going to go into this 11 O here. Pull it through. And then we're going to go up into these 2 8 O's. And we'll see with the small ones if we're going to use the same amount. Now you can adjust according to whatever beads you're using and what size you're using, how you do your clusters. Whether you put 3 or 4 of them on the sides is up to you. How you do your middle, if you decide you don't want to do 3 across the middle, you can adjust them any way you want. This is a very forgiving stitch, so you can play with it. Now we're going to pick up a triangle bead of the small ones, and I'm going to start with a dark color here, my dark red, and I am going to drop it down, and a 15 O. Should have done those together, but you know, can't do everything just right, just like that. And then I'm going to go around the 15 O and into the triangle bead, and then into the 2 8 O's, just like this. Now I'm going to pick up another triangle bead in the color I selected and just do this whole section in that color. And I'm going to pick up another 15 O. I'm going to drop these down to my piece, go around the 15 O and back into those 2 8 O's, kind of move my little triangle beads aside and come through, trying not to loosen everything up, and then pull and make sure everything's nice and tight, just like that. And then I'm going to pick up one 15 O to do my crossing middle stitch because these beads are smaller. So I'm going to pick up one 15 O, and I'm going to pick up a triangle bead and one 15 O, because you don't want this to be a loop sticking out. You want it to be a cluster just up against those 8 O's. So if you pick up too many 15 O's, you're going to get a loop. Now we're coming out of these 2 8 O's right underneath this crystal. We're going to go into these 2 8 O's, the set next to the one we're coming out of, on the opposite side from which we're coming out. And we're just going to pull this down and direct it over the top and tighten it, just like that. So that's what that looks like. Now I'll move into the next one and I'll pick up a triangle bead, and some of these triangle beads are stuck together. If they are, what I do, if I have a couple that are stuck together, is I just grab my scissors or my flush cutters and I just kind of gently separate them like that. So some of them are stuck. So now I'm going to pick up another crystal and a 15 O. I'm going to drop it down. I'm going to go around the 15 O and into the 8 O's. Then pick up another crystal, 15 O, drop it down, go into the 2 8 O's and come out underneath the crystal on the other side. Pull this down tight. Arrange it, make sure that there's no slack on either side, and then again I'm going to pick up a 15-0 and a crystal and a 15-0. And I'm going to cross over into the next set of 8-0s. Pull this down over the top and continue. Pick up another one of my crystals and a 15-0. I'll do this entire section with you, and then we'll go off camera and do the rest of them. Then we're going to go around that one and into the 2 8-0s. I'm going to arrange these, they're getting weird. And then pick up another one. Drop them down. Come on, 15-0. Get down there. And then I'm going to go into the crystal, ignoring the 15-0, and then up underneath the crystal on the other side. Make sure I pull it back into place so it's not all weird. And then I will pick up 15-0 and a crystal and a 15-0 and go into the next set. Now on these little ones, I'm going to go ahead and put a crystal on either side of the last set here because it doesn't fill it up quite as full as that one. So I am going to use more on this side than I did that one. So I'm going to pick up another crystal and a 15-0. And I have piles of 12, so it should be fine. And I'm going to go through here. Then I'm going to pick up another crystal. And like I said, you can adjust this however it looks nice to you. That's great. You know, I mean, you don't have to do it exactly the same. And then I'm going to go back into the 2 8-0s. And I'm going to call that good. I think that looks nice. So I've used 4 crystals on the outside, 3 in the middle, and 4 crystals on the outside on this side. On this one, I used 3, 3, and 3, just like that. Now I can travel into my 11-0 seed beads. So I'm going to turn it over just so you can see where I'm at. Coming out of this last set of 8-0s, I'm going to go into this 11-0 here. I think I just tangled my thread, maybe not. Okay, and then I'm going to go down into this first set. Now you can back up and watch how we did the fringing on this one again if you would like, or on this one. We're just going to repeat. We're going to do a section like this here, and then a section like this here, and continue doing that to the end of our bracelet. So go ahead and continue doing that. If you need to back up the video, do that, and we will be back as soon as we get to the end. Okay, so I have finished all of my embellishments, and the first thing you're going to notice is my design color-wise is not symmetrical, and that's simply because I have a even number of base units. I needed an even number to get the length that I require, so I was not able to balance my colors perfectly. Now, if you end on an odd number, then you can designate a dead center and have your colors totally symmetrical on either end. It's up to you. To me, probably I would arrange my colors differently and maybe add one of the other colors in the ombre strand if I were to do it again. However, this is how I arranged it, and this is how I did it, so it's still very, very pretty. It's just, I think I would put a little bit more thought into it. So let's come down here to the very last embellishment that I did. So I put my last little crystal on the end here, and I'm coming out of these 8-0s. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go between the 11-0s in the clasping and the 8-0 I'm coming out of, and I'm going to form a loop and run my needle through there and just arrange my threads so that I can pull a knot down between the 8 O's I'm coming out of and the 11 O's, just like this. And then I can turn my piece over and I can go back down into these 8 O's on the top here. Move this crystal out of the way, get you in close. So I'm just going to come through these, and then I can grab this thread bridge between the ladder stitches, and I can create another loop and go through it and just slowly and gently pull a knot down on that thread bridge, and then go up into a couple more, and I'm just going to sew through. You can knot on those thread bridges as much as you want to secure your piece. It's up to you, but to shorten this video a little, I'm just going to go through. Oh, come here. Let me go in there. I'm going to go in this one, and then I am going to straighten that out a little bit, and I'm just going to cut it off there. And then I'm leaving quite a big tag so that when I burn it down, it will have a blob that will also serve as a knot. So I'm just going to burn this down, blob it down. It's the back, no big deal, and it serves as another knot. So you can see the back is very pretty too. It's nice and orderly looking, and this is the front. Now, my bracelet is done, and like I mentioned before, it's not symmetrical in color, but when I put it on my wrist, I think it's going to look like it is, because the end, of course, is not going to be as seen, and it's just like it's going to hop the colors here. So on my wrist, I have the 2 peach in front, and it is symmetrical this way. So, like I said, I think I'd rethink my colors a little bit, and you can do this all in the bigger triangle bead, or you can do it all in the smaller ones, or you can buy a big one and a small one like I have in here as far as size is concerned. I have several different color mixes, color blends, and I have the smaller ones that I think I have them listed under 4mm, and then I have the bigger ones. I have a clear AB that is listed by itself, and I will put all the links on in the information box beneath the video player if you want some of these. But my original plan to do this was all just in clear, just to make clusters of clear, and I may do that for myself because I think that will be just really pretty. But I wanted to utilize what was in the treasure bag, and if you decide you want to do all in one color, you need 2 strands. You will not use a whole lot of the second strand, but 1 strand just isn't quite enough to do this. So I think it turned out really, really pretty. And like I said, I think I'll do one in all one color, and I think I'll use one of the smaller strands and do one in all color, one color too, because if you look close, it's just really a very pretty thing. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Get creative with your color scheming. Spend a little time actually thinking it out, because I did not, and end up with something you're really happy with. I love this. I think the stitch is really pretty. I think the design is gorgeous, but I'm not real happy with my color choices. So, you know, these things happen. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you try to make one. And if you do like it, give me a little like, and perhaps consider subscribing and clicking that notification bell so we can do this again. Bye-bye.